This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free, and he goes to Gibbs White. Edge of the box for Ole. Yes! Great goal! What a hit from Ole! Gibbs White! They've only gone and done it again! Forest back in the lead through Morgan Gibbs White! Oh, and he scores! And the City ground goes ballistic!
Hello and welcome to this edition of Red Side of the Trent, the fan preview for the Forest game against Manchester City. Joining me all the way from Cincinnati is Sam, or the American Citizen, as he correctly goes by on Twitter or X these days. Sam, thank you very much for joining us, especially on short notice. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I guess I could see better days as a City fan, but doing okay.
I mean, we actually talking to you on the day of the Liverpool game. Unfortunately for Manchester City, it's 5 defeats in your last 6 games. Let's talk about the Liverpool game a little bit briefly, especially as your account is mainly based on analytics and data and everything else. What did you make of the game?
I honestly, I actually thought it was better than I expected. I haven't gone back and analyzed it yet because I like to watch it back and sort of dig into the numbers and that type of stuff. So I haven't done that yet because it's only been a couple hours. But just upon watching it first time, I actually expected it to be worse. We never do well at Anfield, and so I didn't expect a win, but to keep it at 2-0 and to sort of be punched in the mouth for the first 25 minutes or so, and then to sort of stabilize it. And honestly, I actually was kind of happy with how they played. As crazy as that sounds for City in a 2-0 defeat.
Yeah, I mean, from watching it from a neutral point of view, it just looked like Liverpool not only had your number, but they were just swarming all over City. And I mean, I think on another day it could have been a cricket score, as you would say in England, where it's by five or six almost. Because I can't really remember Liverpool really having a chance until the very end when Virgil van Dijk gave the ball to Kevin De Bruyne and Kelleher kind of bailed him out there. What is kind of going wrong at Manchester City in this recent period? I've never seen them go for like a month, like losing all their games is absolutely mental.
I think it's a combination of a bunch of different things. One is a ton of different injuries. So Rodri being the biggest one is I think in midfield especially, he's sort of papered over a bunch of cracks, and we didn't really see it until recently. The midfield is just old, and he's just so good that we haven't really seen the issues in midfield because he's sort of been able to compensate for those. And so now that he's out for the entire season, we're seeing a lot more of those issues now. So that plus a lot of injuries. I mean, probably 8 guys at some point have been out the season. And so, the injuries have been piling up to the point where Pep is essentially picking the same 11 every week, or else he's got to start throwing in youth guys. And so and I'd say that's a decent part of it, as well as age. I think the upper management has taken a little too long to turn over the squad, and so the guys are just a little too old. We have, brought back Gundogan, who's 34 years old and looks awful. Kevin De Bruyne can't stay healthy, and he's 33. Kyle Walker looks terrible, and he's 34. And John Stones can't stay fit. And all these guys are on the wrong side of 30. And so I think that's a good mix. And then as well, once you hit a couple snags of games, these guys, their heads are just gone right now. Their heads are just completely gone, like I've never seen. And so I think it's just a mix of all of that.
it's a funny one because obviously from the outsider's point of view, Guardiola's always reiterated he likes a smaller squad, and now it's kind
Hmm.
of biting him on the backside, unfortunately. But fortunately for kind of the rest of the league, because everyone's kind of capitalising on City whilst they're kind of licking their wounds, and they've got this big open wound of no Rodri. But like I kind of used to think like it can't be that just down to Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne not being able to play. But watching you today, and I was just so astounded at like the lack of movement and like how ordinary Haaland looks without those moving parts around him, and it's just unbelievable how Liverpool made you look so ordinary when the last 4 seasons, last 4 to 6 seasons, you'd even say you've made everyone else look so ordinary, and it's just absolutely baffling. I've never heard a crowd sing to Guardiola, "You're getting sacked in the morning," and I mean that is British humour at its finest. But like that is actually like staggering and like unbelievable. But have teams worked out a way to play against City, or have they kind of just lost that fear of playing against City? Because most teams know that 9 times, maybe 99 times out of 100, they probably lose. So maybe they're thinking, well, actually, let's just go for it and like let's see what happens. And teams are actually now catching City cold.
Yeah, I don't think it's a thing. Like this happens where people say like teams have figured out a way to play X team. I generally don't think that's the case. I think that's overblown because what has it taken them 8 years to figure out how to play against Pep Guardiola? Really, I just don't think that's the case. I think it's a mix of teams now smell blood in the water, like they see City as fallible. I think the City players have sort of lost their confidence, and so once they see a goal go in, their heads drop. And um, I think as well, like the intensity is just not there. Like City out of possession and in possession, like the intensity, the running, that is just it's just not there. And I think that is, everybody associates Pep Guardiola and City with like beautiful flowing football, but really the intensity is the hallmark of a Manchester City team is like being able to win the ball back and to run really hard and to press and to be, that sort of really hardworking team. And they just look slow. I mean, they just look incredibly slow, and it seems like it seems so easy for teams to play through them, and there's just gaps everywhere. I mean, like today against Liverpool, it seemed like any time a Liverpool midfielder had the ball, there was no City player anywhere near them, and that just seems to be the case, and that absolutely terrifies me when we play you guys midweek. Honestly, absolutely terrifies me.
I mean, that's it's an interesting one to hear. A Man City fan kind of like fear Forest. Kind of puts a smile on my face, but also puts a little fear into myself because I'm going, are you just being nice or are you being genuine? I mean, just before we get into to the game against ourselves, are you quite surprised Guardiola signed this new deal as well with obviously the whole court case going with the 115 charges? I know so many of them have been dropped, but nothing's really been said about that since those first few charges have seemed to have gone away. Are you quite surprised that's happened? Because Guardiola doesn't tend to stick around. I think this is the longest time he's stuck around with a team. Normally, like I don't know, gets bored. And I mean, I know you said
Mhm.
about teams not worked out City, but he's always managed to kind of he's playing chess while everyone's playing checkers, like
Mhm.
the tiki taka, then the inverted fullbacks, then like I don't. He's just doing craziness basically, playing 4 players up front and doing whatever he wants to do, kind of thing. You're just experimenting all the time. But yeah, are you surprised he's staying and with everything going on?
Honestly, I'm not really that surprised. I don't, to be honest, and this is just, I guess, my outsider opinion. I don't think City is really worried about this case. Um, I don't know why. That's just my impression. Is they don't seem really like they seem to feel like they have an incredibly strong case, and they seem to feel like they're going to beat it. And yeah, I know that can be like City PR or whatever, just saying they're going to beat it, but all of their actions seem to be, and Pep's actions, like, I don't think Pep is stupid. I think, he probably has some assurances as well. Um, So I don't know. I mean, it seems to me that the club is incredibly confident that they're that they have a good case. So um, it it seems that Pep feels that way as well. And in terms of Pep staying for such a long time, that doesn't surprise me. Aside from the charges and all that, that honestly doesn't surprise me because he stayed for 4 years at Barcelona and 3 at Bayern Munich. And this, if he finishes his extension that he just signed, that will be 11 years. And so it doesn't surprise me because the club is sort of tailor made for him. He's incredibly close with Cheeky, who's leaving at the end of the year. He's retiring, the sporting director, and Ferran Soriano, who they both worked together at Barcelona. And so, in everything is sort of made around him. The academy was sort of made for his style as well, and everything is how he wants it. And whereas he ran into a lot of conflict at other places, and so I don't think he'll really have a setup at any other club better than what he has at City. And frankly, I don't think he'll go to a club after City. I think he'll go to a national team, but I don't think because I think he knows that he'll never really have a setup better at a club than he does at City.
I mean, I don't know if you've managed to get over from Cincinnati, Sam, to Manchester, but it's actually a brilliant it's a brilliant city as well. It's lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, so I kind of don't blame you. Apart from the weather, sometimes it's pretty good to go to. To be fair, the thing with the points deduction, I just find that really hard that City won't avoid at least something, especially with Forest and Everton getting like a couple of charges and getting so many points. I just find it it's going to be really difficult, but. Guardiola signing kind of like might give you an indication, but you just never know with these things. It's the Premier League make it up as they go along. I find it's absolute madness. But
well, I will say this: like it's very different than Everton. By day I'm a lawyer, so I've read the charges. I'm not an expert on like sporting stuff, right? But I've at least read the charges to like try to understand this, and it's very different from what Everton is being charged with, and like basically what the Premier League have accused City of is fraud. They've accused City of like wide scale fraud of their accounting rather than like FFP violations. They're basically saying like your owners are funneling in money through accounting fraud, and it eventually in the end sort of violates FFP, but they're essentially using accounting fraud to do it. And so that's, I guess, how City believe it. Whereas Everton, I didn't read up as much on Everton, but I believe Everton sort of admitted to not making FFP. They just spent all this money and said, we can't make it up in the end. So, do with us what you will. Whereas with the Premier League, they're more or less doing what happened at Cass, but bringing their own case against it and thinking they have a better. Which I don't know the evidence on any side because it's not public, but essentially they're bringing what UEFA brought and saying we believe that you have committed wide scale accounting fraud for like 10 or so years since 2012 to like 2019 or so, and so that's what we believe is happening.
Okay, that's fair enough. I know you mentioned that you're a bit fearful for Wednesday night, which still I nearly fell off my chair. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But I have wrote a question. But is this a good time for City to kind of for a fixture to get City back on track? Would you say?
Well, I haven't. I must admit, I haven't watched a ton of Forest, but they've been playing well this year from what I've seen, like from the results and stuff. And so, to me, no. To me, it doesn't look like it's a good fixture. And from what I know of, like when City play Forest, and especially teams against Nuno, they give us a ton of trouble. Like we always had a ton of trouble against Nuno's Wolves. We had a ton of trouble against Nuno's Spurs. And it's just the way he sets up, and especially like it's almost like the way you guys are set up is perfectly tailor made to beat us, and counterattack us, especially like down the wings. With is Elanga healthy right now? I don't know.
He came on yesterday as we talk on Sunday. He came on as a sub, but he's been a little out of form recently. But yeah, he'll be fit to play. Whether he starts or not is a different matter because against Liverpool we sacrificed wingers until the very end, where we ended up nicking a result at Anfield and have still been their only defeat, which Arne Slot can't seem to let go of. Which we're all loving at the moment. It's brilliant. But yeah, Alanga will be fit in some capacity, whether that's starting or on the bench.
Yeah, and so the between him and Hudson Odoi down the wings honestly terrifies me because um, Kyle Walker has probably been our worst player this season, and that's even worse because he's our captain, and he's 34. Like his pace is just gone, and just the counterattacks down the wings have just absolutely destroyed us this season. So
I mean, I don't know if you saw the fixtures last season when Olaina kind of just ran past him like it was nothing.
yeah,
We were
yeah,
all like,
oh yeah.
what the heck is happening? Like, this is great. So are you kind of saying that if we can get in down the sides of City, that's where we're going to kind of hurt you in on the counter attack? Because I know City still keep trying to play this crazy high line, but like you said, Kyle Walker used to be the man to get you out of trouble, and now it seems like he's gone from like 99 pace on FIFA to like 50, or I mean, not probably not so much 50, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. It used to be like 99 pace, and now it's like 85. But the problem is he still plays like it's 99, and so he still thinks he can get himself out of trouble, but it is just the timing is all wrong. And so,
Right.
the those things, and also in midfield, like Gibbs White, he's going to find a lot of space, and he's to me, I'm a big fan of him. He's a very creative player, and without Rodri there, like Rodri is generally the person who sort of follows him around the pitch. Without him there, that would worry me. And so, and honestly, I will say right now, like any team would terrify me, but especially like the way Forest have looked this year, and especially Nuno, like that especially, um, that it doesn't make me extremely confident, to say the least.
I mean, that's pretty honest of you to say. I mean, I was going to ask you who do you feel you kind of filled in those gaps and whatnot, but like our defense has been probably our main kind of strength this season. We've let in not a lot of goals this season until like the Arsenal and Newcastle game. Does it concern you that you might not be able to break us down with how we kind of set up in terms of like we're pretty solid, like Murillo and Milenkovic? We might even bring in Morato for this game because last season, the home game especially, we had really good joy with playing three at the back and with wing backs and kind of swarming City in that sense. Chris Wood had lost his shooting boots by then, but he's got them firmly back on now with 9 goals this season. So yeah, I'm just wondering if you fear that with us how we set up, will you be able to break us down? Because City today looked really struggling to break Liverpool down with a lack of movement. Like you say, there's a lot of old guys in there at the moment. It kind of just doesn't seem to be clicking with that midfield combination of Gundogan, Rico Lewis, and Bernardo Silva there.
Yeah, I actually think I'm interested to see how Nuno will set up, and the reason I say that is because City's wingers are back healthy. Like Doku has come back and Savinho is back. My guess is they'll play because against the deeper block, their dribbling is incredibly important out wide. And City didn't have that last year, and I think that's why it made it so hard to break down Forest. And so I think they're going to be incredibly important. I actually think City will create a decent amount of chances. Gundogan is decent in chance creation from deep, passing wise. I actually think it's kind of a blessing that Kovacic is injured right now because he's not good at that. Gundogan's the better passer from deep. I just worry about the counter. Like I have a feeling it can be a high scoring game. I have a feeling like City might score 2 and Forest could score 3 or 4. Um, that's my guess.
I mean, I'd be utterly shocked and in because I'm actually going to the game, so I'd be utterly shocked from the away stand if that was the case. I mean, yeah, because like we're set up to be quite defensive, not so much attacking. So it's the rarity that we score 3 goals, never mind 4. So that'd be a pleasant surprise. Do you expect to line up the same way, or do you think there'll be some changes coming Wednesday? Because obviously you've got a hectic schedule now come December. It's always a bit mental during Christmas period, as you know, being a City fan. But like you've got Champions League games, you've got Man United soon as well, Crystal Palace. I've seen you've got Juventus as well midweek next week as well, and it's just going to be Saturday, Wednesday, Tuesday kind of schedule for you now. And with your squad looking light, do you expect changes on Wednesday night?
I expect some changes when they can be made. We don't really know who's fit because so many guys are out. Um, I would expect Savinho and Doku to start, just because, like I was saying, against the deeper block, their dribbling is so important on the wings. Just because, like you saw last year, you can't really break down a deeper block without that dribbling that just sort of spreads out those deep blocks. And they're so good dribbling out wide and sort of just switching play from side to side that I think that's going to be incredibly important. So that will change. Um, in midfield, who knows? Honestly, like today in Pep's post game press conference, he said he'll look at playing Jack Grealish in midfield, which he has only done, I think, once. And that was also out of necessity because he didn't have any midfielders. So maybe he'll play Grealish in midfield. I don't know outside of that. Same with defenders. We don't know who's fit. I expect to see some changes. Hopefully not Kyle Walker, but then again, who's going to be fit enough to take his place? So, yeah, it's a little bit of a mishmash of guys right now.
I mean, I suppose if you did that, like Rico Lewis could go into right back and you play Grealish in midfield, or Foden plays in midfield behind the striker, and you play Gundogan and Bernardo Silva in central midfield. I don't know, but just I know it's going to be putting you on the spot, Sam. But what would your lineup be for Wednesday night?
So my lineup. First off, I don't know who's going to be in goal because I found it extremely odd that Stefan Ortega started in goal today over Edison. I don't know why that happened. My conspiracy theory is there may be something that happened with Ederson, and it wouldn't surprise me if Ortega started again and may take the starting job. So I guess it might. We'll see on that. My guess is Kyle Walker may play again because Pep would want some more pace to protect against counterattacks. Because Rico Lewis is great, and I love Rico Lewis, but he really doesn't have much pace, especially against somebody like Hudson-Odoi. He doesn't have that pace. I think we'll see Ruben Diaz again. I think we'll see probably Akanji. I think we'll see Gvardiol come back. So there's the back four. Probably Gundogan. Foden. I would like to see De Bruyne back because he's played. I think he's fit, but I don't know why he hasn't played. And his creativity would be good in a game like this. And then Holland, Doku, and Savinho. So there would be my 11 right there.
I mean, I'd fear if De Bruyne is playing just because his ability to unlock from deep, and we'd have to be right on his toes. You'd kind of have to ask Ryan Yates or someone just to run around and try and get near him so they can, I don't know, at least kick him or something. Do you know what I mean? Like at least disrupt something of his game, because I know it's really unfortunate when you see a player of his ilk kind of falling by the wayside almost because of injury, not because he's just getting older. he's having now both, where he's getting injuries because he's older. It's like kind of a bit sad to see because he's been such a good player like throughout the years. He's such a lovely player to watch, and I really admire him. I mean, I didn't really get to see him. I think it was the first season I went to City when we lost 6-0, and he came on as a sub, which it was terrifying. It was like 5-0, 6-0, and you're bringing on Kevin De Bruyne. It was a bit of a yeah, it was a bit of a hard one to swallow. Like, this is it, an insult to injury. So yeah, that'd be an interesting lineup, and yeah, like you say, it'd be interesting to see how we go. And kind of Nuno's, he's a bit of a full of surprises. He doesn't kind of reveal all his cards; he keeps them quite close to his chest. So I'd be really intrigued. We had this discussion on our podcast post the Ipswich game, wondering whether he'd go like a 3-4-3 or whatever, or sacrifice wingers. We just kind of don't really know because he has been full of surprises, but he's also been very consistent with a lot of our lineup. What's your score prediction, Sam?
I'll predict the draw. I'll predict a 2-2 draw.
I mean, I'd snap your hand off within an instant for that. Absolutely, like 100%. I'd take a draw. I mean, we've never really laid a glove on City at the Etihad since like the FA Cup when we beat you 3-0 when like Robinho was playing. So I mean, it'd be nice to get something and at least score a goal at City, because we've not done that either in our last 2 visits. So yeah, I'm really intrigued. But thank you very much for joining us, Sam, on the pod, especially at short notice. As I said, where can people find your social media or your or whatever you do on there? I know you're doing data analysis, as we said.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter is where I'm the most active, or X, American Citizen, or at Citizen America. I also go on the 9320 podcast every once in a while as well, which is a Manchester City podcast. So you can find me there from time to time as well.
Bro, thank you very much, Sam. Until next time, Reds fans, we'll get the review to you on Thursday morning, hopefully talking about at least a point. I mean, that'd be lovely. If not, somehow a surprising win. But until then, come on, you Reds.